The management and the workers' union of a firm have entered into wage negotiations. Management, which works on behalf of the firm's owners, is contemplating whether or not to accept the union's wage demands. The union threatens to go on strike if its demands are not met. The decision tree below shows the possible outcomes in terms of wages for workers and profit for the owners of the firm. Both parties know these payoffs. Alright, so what's going to be interesting in this question is the statement, the union threatens to go on strike if its demands are not met, because one can ask the question, is this threat credible, or is it a non-credible threat or an idle threat? If management thinks the union's threat is idle, that is, it's non-credible, what's likely to be the outcome? So management obviously has a choice between accepting the union's demand or rejecting the union's demand. And then, if the union faces a rejection of its demands, then it has a choice between striking or not. If management chooses to accept the union's demands, then the owners of the firm will have a payoff of 0. On the other hand, if the management rejects the union's demand, then the outcome for the owners will be contingent on what the union chooses to ultimately do. It could go on strike, in which case the owners would make a large loss. If, on the other hand, the union chooses to not go on strike, so it doesn't follow through on its threat, then the owners would make a large profit, which would be the best outcome for the owners. Now, which one is the union going to choose? If we assume that the union and its leadership are rational agents and they are not thinking beyond the confines of this game, then the union has to think of, well, if we go on strike, we're going to experience a loss of 20. On the other hand, if we don't follow through on our threat, we'll make a loss of 0 or a gain of 0. Which is preferable? Well, 0 is better than a kick in the teeth, in which case they would go for not striking. Now, management has gamed this out themselves. They've figured this out, that actually the union is bluffing. Right? It's not in their interest to go on strike, in which case management now has a simple choice between accept the union's demand and get 0 for its owners, or reject the union's demand, there'll be no strike, and there'll be 20 payoff for the management's masters. 20 is better than nothing, in which case this is going to be the outcome. That is, management is going to choose to reject the union's demand, and the union will choose to not go on strike. What if, on the other hand, the union's threat is credible? A credible threat here is kind of like a sincere promise. You're going to, if you make a sincere promise, you're going to do it no matter what. Even if it harms you, you're going to keep that promise. And that's what we're talking about here. The union says, if you reject our demands, we will go on strike even if it harms us. So, management knows that. They have a choice between accepting the union's demand, their owners get nothing, or rejecting the union's demand. But in this case, rejecting the union's demand means this is the only possible outcome. The owners will make a large loss. Now, from the perspective of the management, which is preferable? Accepting the union's demands and getting nothing, or rejecting the union's demands, facing a strike, and making a larger loss? Well, obviously 0 is better than the kick in the teeth, so management will accept the union's demands in this case. So what this little question illustrates is that it can be extremely important to the final outcome of a game whether a threat made is credible or non-credible.